Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Frank.
And today's episode is episode number 67, and we're continuing talking about Frank and Scotti's Icon of the Seas sailing. Let's jump into it. All right, so next, let's kind of go into the ship layout, right? So kind of like you said, there are some key differences when it comes to Icon of the Seas versus the Oasis class and some other classes of the ship. Kind of just tell me what you thought about the ship layout overall.
I really liked the ship layout. I think that it felt not crowded. I think that that's the biggest thing I'll say here. The way that the promenade, the Central Park, and all the neighborhoods and like the distinctness of the neighborhoods. I just got off Utopia of the Seas and it felt like a madhouse compared to Icon. I believe we had around 6,600 people on the ship, which was not full capacity. I think that there could be a few more, maybe it's around 7,600 is the total capacity of the ship. But, some of the things that I think made a big difference were the destination elevators. On Utopia, they have destination elevators. Maybe on some of the Carnival ships, they have destination elevators. But what's really different, and I don't know how Carnival is on their newer ships laid out, but instead of like on Utopia, you have two separate elevator banks with think of walkways and stuff in the middle, right? You've got beautiful artwork. Icon is set up differently where all of the elevators are in a circle. So you hit the button, there's 9 or 10 different elevators that you could potentially get on. And this made it so it was very rare that we waited more than a few minutes for an elevator. And when we did get on, it was also very rare that we had more than 2 stops. I mean, most of the time, 1 stop, 2 stops, but rarely were you hitting every single floor. So those things made a huge difference when it comes to getting around the ship, going to the pools, just in general, it made your life a little easier.
So question about the destination elevators and how Royal does it. I know on my MSC sailing and with Carnival, you're supposed to click the button for every person in your group.
No.
And
they didn't do that.
And that kind of became an issue because you would have a family of 10 people just go up and hit it once, but obviously it's keeping track of how many people are supposed to go on that elevator. So especially days when we got back on the ship from ports and all of that, I mean, you would have a lot of people end up trying to squeeze, and you already have a bunch of people in it. So for Royal, is it just supposed to be 1 per group?
They didn't teach us on that one. I mean, we only hit it 1 time. There's no sign that said hit it multiple times. Now, if it took more than a few minutes, I'd be like, okay, it's been 3 minutes. I'm getting impatient. I'm going to hit it again. And sometimes it would give you a different elevator to get on, or sometimes it would just say the same one, and you just are still waiting. So
gotcha.
You probably spend more time waiting on the elevator, but then you're not squished in there with 500 people in a small little elevator, and you're not feeling gross in there. So you would get on and it'd be typically less people. But yeah, Scotti, what do you think about the elevators?
I'll just say that Frank was so excited about the elevators before we got on Icon. And I didn't really understand it. I was like, okay, they're just some elevators. But I will say it made such a big difference. And it just made the experience so much better. You would just hit okay, I want to go to floor 8, Central Park. And you get on an elevator by yourself. You're not crammed in there like other ships. So completely agree. I'm a big fan of the elevators now.
Nice. Well, so we've talked about some of the newer areas on the ship, right? You've talked about the hideaway pool area off the back. You've talked about the water park. Let's talk about one of the other big key differences on this ship being no solarium. So obviously on Icon, it's replaced by the Aquadome. And like you said, you've already kind of talked about the Aquadome market, and you said you did a behind-the-scene tour of the theater. What did you think about this section as a whole on the ship?
I liked this spot. I think that the biggest thing there is the Aqua Theater, right? So it's a beautiful theater. We'll talk about the show in a minute, so I don't want to spoil that part. But the other areas of it, so they've got the Ryan Bean coffee bar, which is really good. And then they have the overlook bar at the front and really comfy seats, almost beds in the front that you can we actually one night we're like Scotty, we got to make an effort to go to this so we can talk about it on the podcast. We need to make sure we check out this area at night. And I think if there's not an aqua show, it's better. We kind of got there and we enjoyed it for a bit, and then the aqua show started, so it was really, really loud. But it's a beautiful spot. There was actually a big thunderstorm going on, so it was kind of we're in the best spot to see lightning in front of the ship. It was kind of cool because it's all glass windows. I mean, it feels great. Temperature controlled room. I kind of missed the solarium just because of the comment we made previously on the pools, but overall, it's a really good spot. But Scotty, what did you think about the whole Aqua Theater and Aqua Dome area? Do you feel like same, like you kind of missed the solarium, or are you good with how it was set up?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a beautiful area and they have great seating. Obviously, the Aqua Show was great, and I know we'll talk more about that. One thing I noticed is I do think they have so much seating in this area, and a lot of it is just not used. Like,
Yeah.
people aren't just going there to just sit. And some are, but a lot of seats go unused, like throughout the whole cruise. So that made me miss the solarium a bit and just miss having some more like private pools, having some areas like out of the sun, because as I mentioned, we got like very sunburnt. I'm like, man, it'd be great just to be able to like lay inside a bit. So I would lean on, I miss it, to be honest. I think the Aquadome's beautiful, but definitely did miss the solarium.
So another big kind of key difference on this ship is rebranding kind of the boardwalk area to Surfside, right? This is supposed to be a family neighborhood, right? I mean, you have the kid splash pad here, different kind of grab and go food for more that are the food's more obviously for families. They've moved playmakers off of the boardwalk. Did y'all spend any time here, and what did you think of this area?
Yeah, we did spend some time here, actually. We actually liked this neighborhood. We went to Pier 7, which we'll talk about on the food section, but I thought Pier 7 was really good, and I liked this neighborhood. It feels bigger because there's not like, you know how like on Oasis Class, they've got like Johnny Rockets, and it takes up a lot of space outside. And then you've got Playmakers where it takes up like a lot of space. There wasn't as much dining outdoors that like took up a lot of space, so it just felt wider. And then obviously in the back of the ship, you have like the kid area, which we weren't really hanging out in those pools at all because why would we? But I thought it was great. And what I liked about it was that they had food down there. So if you have families, there's free food. You can just grab, there's a buffet, and then there's also a window where they're serving up burgers and stuff. And all of that's free, which they don't have on the Oasis Class. No free food options in the boardwalk. So that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think too, you made a point earlier that this ship felt a little less crowded, and I think Surfside was a big part of that, because this is like where all the kids and family are going to spend a majority of their time. Like if I was a kid, this would be heaven to me. Like, you have a awesome pool, you have slides, you have like a carousel, ice creams right there. So it's a great spot for the family, and again, I think it helps with just making the ship feel a bit less crowded.
I agree, and I feel like that was a big thing, and they are fixing that for Star, not fixing it, but like they're trying to make that area a larger group of people. So like right now it's like if you have kids probably below what age, like 7, that's a good spot. But then once you get up to like 8, 9, 10, 11, like once you get into an older crowd, it's not like they're going to want to hang out there. They're going to want to be at the throw water park by the putt and all that. So like it really is like probably ages like 0 to 6. I would say, or 7, and then like at some point they're probably like, I want to do the big slides, I want to do putt, I want to do the flow rider. So then that becomes a bit different. So they're gonna make this a larger grouping of like somehow add something to like attract older kids, which will even help us a lot more. But going off of that, like we did eat a little bit at the base camp area, and we hung out there. There's like a lot of there's a big bar over there, so that's a great spot. We did the deserted stuff, but that whole area too, they, in terms of ship layout, they bumped up the sports court, and underneath they put the restaurant base camp, which as a parent, there's a bar, your kids can do the flow rider, your kids can do putt, you just hang out here, which is a really good spot. So just wanted to kind of mention that one as well. Another quick thing, I know I'm rambling now, but I wanted to mention, like, one thing that they really thought of on this ship that is always a pain point for me is the towel stations. Not only when you're at the pool, on Oasis Class, there's usually one spot on the pool deck where you can grab. Maybe there's one in the solarium, right? But on this ship, every area, like the water park had a towel station. Up on, deck 17 or 18 by the Swim and Tonic, there's a towel station right there by the pool. Then you were down at the other pool, there's a towel station. So, like, they put more towel stations, and then when you got off the ship, there, instead of like all that crowd by the boarding area and the security, they had it in the promenade, because the escalators to go down to get off the ship were in the promenade. So rather than like crowding the elevators, you just had to get to deck 5 and then you took the escalator down, but they put the towel station right there, and it made it like so much easier. You like, oh, I forgot to get towels. Oh wait, it's like right there, and I can just like come back and forth. So those are like small things that like kind of make a big difference in your vacation when it's like, I don't have to like stress about getting towels. There's multiple stations. There's multiple people selling water bottles before my excursions. Like, they just thought about all that stuff on this ship. So I know I was rambling there, but like some of those small things really do add up.
All right, so question for you regarding ship layout. How does the ship overall, I mean, like we said, you have stuff like Central Park, the promenade, the boardwalk on Oasis class ships. When it comes to kind of your way around the ship, does it feel like a larger Oasis class ship? Like, obviously you've done so much Oasis. Like, did you feel like you knew your way around the ship, or does it still feel different?
I thought it felt different enough, but you still knew relatively, like, I'm in the promenade, the Central Park's 2 decks above me. Oh, I'm in the promenade, like the boardwalk is here, like the pools, like there was no like differences in that. One of the biggest differences in the ship was like deck 4, I believe, where they have the playmakers, the ice rink, and the music hall right there. That is a very big difference because music hall has always been on like deck 8, 9, whatever, like up top in the back, I believe, like looking over the boardwalk. On this ship, it's down below, and it's almost like better because it's like right by the casino. So say you like lost too much money and you're like, I just want to go enjoy some music. It's literally connected to the casino, and it's like they have a really good band there, a lot of seating if you just like rock and roll music, or they're playing a bunch of different things. So a lot of times you kind of just walk through it, but you're like, oh dang, those are really good musicians. But then the weird one that Mom mentioned on her episode was like playmakers and the ice rink. So like the ice rink is on the back of the ship instead of it being like more in the middle, it's on the back, and you have to walk through playmakers to get there. So that's a bit interesting. But I will say, I don't know, Scotty, how you felt about this, but I actually liked playmakers being fully indoors. I know other people that do cruise blogging and stuff, like they talked about this, but like being fully indoors, it was air conditioning. You actually want to like hang out there more, I thought, at least.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we had a really good lunch there. It's indoors, and it's also a lot bigger. Like they have a lot of games, like more of a separate arcade feel. So it's a really cool place to hang out. I think it was packed on Sunday for the NFL games.
Yeah.
We didn't get to check it out, but Ashton did and said it was just a great environment. So I agree. I think it's has a lot of pros of being inside now and being a lot bigger.
So what it sounds like overall is obviously like some venues have moved around the ship, but as far as going to kind of like your casino to your promenade, your Central Park, a lot of that still feels kind of similar to Oasis overall.
Yeah, it's the same. They just made it easier, like the escalator to the casino. Like those are small things, like the stairway that goes from the Pearl up to the Central Park. Like they just made everything more accessible. Like you no longer have to like walk upstairs. Like it's just like the promenade, if you were on deck 6, it just wasn't connected, so everything just felt easier to get around. In terms of ship layout, like they just took the pain points besides the solarium, forget about that, that's one that we said we miss, but besides that, they made everything just better and more accessible, I would say, and easier to kind of get around with the elevators and all the stairways and all that. So
all right, Frank, well, we've come to the point of the podcast where we talk about one of our favorite things on
food.
Ships, the food. Obviously, I mean, any cruise ship you go on, you're going to have plenty of free options, upcharge options. Let's talk about how y'all tackled it as a whole. Like you said, you were doing the unlimited dining package, so you made your reservations for your different restaurants at the start. Yeah, kind of just walk us through kind of the restaurants you did and
what we thought. Yeah,
yeah,
we can do that. But before we get into this, we booked the supper club before the cruise, which is the most expensive restaurant on Royal Caribbean. This was about $200 a person. We booked it before the cruise, so we booked the dining package and we booked that. But what happens is when you get on board, they refund you the money that you put for the supper club, and they just charge you the upcharge for the dining package, which I think was $130 a person upcharge for the dining package. The reason why I did this was because there's only 30 seats in there per night. So was it like 30 or 40 seats a night? So yes. I wanted to make sure this was a special thing that we got a reservation. And if you really care about any of your dining, you can do that for Royal Railway, all the other options. So just if you really want a specific day and time and you have the package, you can also book it and then they'll refund you. So that's what they did there. But we ate at all the restaurants. Good job. We did it.
We did.
So we did Hooked first day. That was probably my least favorite out of all the options. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we knew that going into that was probably going to be our least favorite. They have some really good stuff, like their biscuits, like their
the
cheese
cheddar biscuits?
yeah, with butter. Like those are amazing.
That was good.
But I think we each, I think I got a seafood platter, and what
I
did
got
you
the
get?
lobsters,
You got the
dual lobster
lobsters?
tails, which was really good, but you don't like lobster, so
Yeah, I don't love lobster,
yeah.
but it was good. I mean, it was a good restaurant, but just not our favorite compared to the others.
The next night, I believe, went to Giovanni's. What did you think about Giovanni's?
I really like Giovanni's. They brought us out a beautiful charcuterie board. They bring you out some great bread. It's really good. I ended up getting that night, I think, the steak, which is a weird thing to order at a Italian restaurant, but it was phenomenal. I think, Frank, you got the carbonara, which Frank is a bit of an Italian snob,
Yeah.
so I don't think he loved his.
I think the food was good. I think the next time we went there, got like, what did I get? Like the lasagna.
Yeah.
You had like the chicken parm. I mean, the food is good. It's not like the best Italian like you're ever gonna get in your life. Italian is very common, right? You can get it anywhere. So I wouldn't say like you have to go out of your way. It's probably, I think the one on Utopia was better. So not like something, but it was fine. I don't think it was the best one in terms of the specialty restaurants, but it was good. It was good. We ate there twice. The next one we did was Azumi. So we did hibachi with Ash and her mom. It was her mom's birthday. What did you end up thinking about Azumi?
Azumi was fun. I mean, the food is great. You end up leaving just feeling so full. But overall, the experience is just great at Azumi. Like our chef was funny. It's just a very entertaining dinner, and we really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of those dinners where you're like, look at the menu and you're like, there's not that much food. And I think they even cut the soup, the miso soup from there, but you always leave there so full. And you're like, I was looking at how much they give you for the meats. Like you get like a whole steak and you get like chicken, like you get a lot of food. So that was really, really good. Didn't we do like the Zumi in the Park dessert that night too? We went over and got, which
the
that's
cone.
a mess. You got to like sit down with it and just like plan on, I don't know if you got to wear gloves and like a face mask, but that thing is hard to eat. Like it's really hard
It like
to eat.
falls apart.
We talk about the waffle cone?
Yes.
Okay.
It's good, but
it's really good.
it's very messy.
Very messy. So that's like the TikTok influencer type thing. Oh, yeah, put that in the, but it was good. It was good.
People make it look a lot easier to eat on video.
I don't think they eat it on
Yeah.
video. Like,
They just show it off.
Yeah.
they show it, and they don't actually show their face covered in chocolate ice cream. The next one that we really loved that we ate at twice was Chops. I think the biggest complaint here is that you felt like crowded in there, but it was the best food that you had on the like besides Supper Club. The steaks were very, very good. The asparagus was great. The breads were great. Everything we ate there was so good. My salads were so good. I don't think there was a bad thing we had for 2 nights.
No, we really enjoyed Chops, and I think one night I got the chicken, which was actually really good too. Just we had a lot of red meat, so I switched it up. But yeah, everything we got there from appetizers to entrees and desserts was great.
The next one we did for brunch, one of the sea days we talked about, was Pier 7. What did you think about Pier 7?
Yeah, Pier 7 was really good. I didn't know what to expect going into it because it was newer, but they had a great menu. They had brunch items and some lighter bites, I would say. I ended up getting the chicken lettuce wraps as an appetizer, which was really good. And then I think I got a like Cobb salad or some sort of salad, which was great. Frank, you got the shrimp
Like tostadas, yeah.
tostadas, which you said were really good.
They were great. They like had lime drizzle, like cilantro, like some dress. Those were honestly one of the best things I ate during the week. Like I really love those. And then I got a club, so it was a big club sandwich. But the funny part was our server was doing like these games with us. Like I do Sudoku or whatever on my phone, so like he was starting to be like, "Oh, do you do Sudoku?" And he started like doing these like games. So it was like actually like a pretty entertaining like brunch because he kept coming back with these like challenges that we had to do, and it was just kind of fun. Just it was a good server. I mean, that's pretty much
it made us think. It was a very entertaining lunch, but we really enjoyed it. I think we would have gone back again. There were so many other restaurants to try, but definitely a good spot.
We did Azumi sushi in the park, which was really good for lunch one of the sea days. I like this. We got the fried chicken. We got both got the spicy tuna rolls. I mean, food was great. No complaints on the Azumi sushi for me.
Yeah, no, and the fried chicken is so good. It comes with this delicious sauce. So
Ashton was saying that was one of the best things she ate all week.
yeah, she did say that. And the sushi's great, but I mean, man, that fried chicken, I would definitely recommend it.
The last one before Empire Supper Club is Playmakers. We did that on the St. Thomas Day. We just didn't really eat that day, so we like planned on getting back on, and we went and dried off and went to Playmakers for lunch. I got the chicken wings. I believe we ordered the nachos that day as well. I mean, it's a lot of food for what you get with the dining package, but the quality of the wings, I mean, it's top notch. I mean, they're beautifully fried. They're large wings. It's a lot of food. We didn't barely put a dent in our lunch, but I feel like we ate so much and I left very, very full. All right, so now let's get into Empire Supper Club. This we could probably do a whole episode on, so it may not give you like the full menu or anything like that, but this was an incredible experience from the start. I will just call out, this was a splurge. This is totally a splurge. You don't have to pay this amount of money to get a great dining experience, but we are foodies. Like we would say, we love food, we love drinks, so this was a splurge. I mean, there's no other way to put it. If you buy this without the dining package, it's about $200 a person. If you buy it with the package, it's about $130 upcharge on top of the dining package. But I mean, from the moment that you, like, I guess the day before, maybe the day of, they give you like a sealed envelope that says you've been invited to Empire Supper Club. Please come dressed with a jacket. This is the time that you need to show up. And then you kind of show up. And what was really crazy about this experience, and I don't know if you felt like this, but we got a drink before. We got all loosey-goosey. We went to see our favorite guy at the champagne bar, Artem from Russia. So we literally spent so much time just talking to this guy in Central Park, like every night. We got champagne, and then we went to the spot, which was actually right outside of our room on deck 8 is where they do supper club on one of the sides of Central Park. And as soon as we walked up, this guy walks up to us. We were just kind of looking around. We're like, oh, there's a lot of people gathered outside the restaurant. And this guy walks up to us and he's like, hi, Frank and Scotti. And you're like, what?
I think I literally said, I was like, how do you know that?
Yeah, the first thing, like, how do you know my name? And you know they like studied you. Like he only had a couple tables. So he like made the effort to come up to us and was like, I'm going to be taking care of you. I'm going to escort you to your table. It was just like, wow, that's crazy. Like I've never had someone like greet you outside the restaurant by name. So that was really cool. You sat down. They started bringing like Moet and Chandon, which is like kind of a nicer champagne, and they have music playing in the background. And then, you know, they start bringing out some starters like bread and like small little things, right? And then they show you the menu, which is about 8 courses, I believe.
Yes.
The first couple of courses are with the Moet and Chandon, and then as you get further along, each course comes with its own cocktail. So there were some cocktails that we really loved, and then there were some cocktails that, you know, we didn't enjoy as much. But, you know, there was Oysters Rockefeller, for example. I don't have the menu in front of me, but there was Oysters Rockefeller. There was like a Italian raviolo, which is like supposed to be ravioli, but it's only one, so it's like raviolo, I guess. What were some of your favorite things?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the oyster was fantastic. I'm not like a huge oyster person, but this was uniquely cooked. I think it was fried.
And
it had like a really nice like sauce to it. The raviolo was delicious. What is that? They brought out like
a langoste, I believe it's called. I don't know.
Yeah,
I should have like studied what it was before this podcast, but it's almost like a shrimp lobster thing. I thought that was one of my favorites. It had they also brought out a caviar thing to us.
Yes, there's a few things off menu they brought. Like they had this delicious, I think it was like a pecan bread that was really good that wasn't on the menu. And then they brought out caviar.
Which was on like a little, like they serve it on like a little pancake looking. You know what I mean? If you eat caviar a lot, you know what I'm talking about. It's on that little bread fried pancake thing, and then it's with egg and caviar, and it's like really good. Have you had caviar before?
I don't think so.
Dude, it is really good. And
yeah,
so that
it like freaks me out, and then I eat it. I'm like, okay, it's really good.
Yeah, you're like, I could do another one of those. But so that was really nice. And you get to choose your entree. So they have a bunch of apps, like I said. As you're eating the things that you don't get to choose, like the raviolo, those just come out by the menu. Those are the things. And you get to choose your main, which is they've got a sea bass, they've got a rabbit, and they've got a Wagyu steak. So you choose one of those. But as you're eating these apps, the band is playing. And what's really cool is they're playing jazz from New York. The trio is actually from New York. Incredible band. I mean, the pianist was one of the, I mean, he was ridiculously good. But they're singing and you're eating like this thing, and it had like the raviola had like a egg yolk, and then you heard like she was singing like eggs, like about something about like an egg or whatever. And you're like, oh, like so all the songs like kind of like kind of tied to the dish in some way, whether it was like Italian or like just whatever that dish was. If it was like a fish, so somehow they kind of tied the music, and then they sang like New York, New York, and all that, which I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing to note is the service here was incredible. Like you would drink a sip of your water and next thing you know, they're like refilling your water. And same with the champagne. I think at one point I told Frank, I was like, please just chug your champagne. I want to see how fast they come and like pour you more. But it was just incredible. Like and let's talk, Frank, about like if you had to go to the restroom.
Oh yeah. They
at
like
dinner.
Yeah, tell them.
Okay, so if you had to go to the restroom, I mean, you kind of like, got out of your chair and started walking, and someone would find you. Like all of a sudden, they'd be like, "Oh, here, follow me," and they like escort you out to the restroom, and then you go in there, do your thing, come back out, and someone's like waiting for you to bring you back in and bring you back to your
Interesting.
chair.
Supposed to be like speakeasy vibes.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
they don't want you to go through the front door. Like once you're in, what's really cool is before we actually did this on other nights, they put like a private function sign, like don't come in here, basically like private function in front of the door to be like, don't come in this door. But you would go to the bathroom kind of on that side door. So it's supposed to like simulate like a speakeasy, which is cool. You felt like so in this. It was a weird like kind of like experience. You didn't feel like you were on a cruise ship at all. It was very small venue, beautiful music, beautiful, like the food was very, very good.
I mean, you seem to have a great time, Frank. Scotti posted a little video of you on Instagram, and you were cheesing hard in it. You
was
could tell.
It was a
smiling.
picture. I thought she was
Maybe
taking-
it was the champagne. There was a lot of bubbles.
the champagne was flowing, the drinks were flowing. We definitely had a lot of drinks, and you felt. What's crazy is like it was a lot of appetizers, but you didn't feel like super full like until you got to the main. Like it was a good portion. They really thought through how much food, and then there were like throughout it like palate cleansers where they gave you like some like sorbet, so like
Yes.
like mint sorbet to like kind of clear your palate. Overall, it was like probably the best dining experience I've ever had. Ever. I don't know if there's something I've ever anywhere like that really comes close to that. I don't think I've been to a place where there's music and great service and great food in one spot like that before.
Yeah, I agree. I think our waiter said this is the most like exclusive dinner at sea there is right now, which is cool. And one other thing to note too is like the desserts that came out after the entrees. Those were incredible. I think I got like a chocolate mousse, but just the details of the dessert. It had like this little honeybee on it made of chocolate, and Frank got the cheesecake, I believe.
It was, yeah, I mean, they kind of brought out everything and let you try everything. You could have chosen to do like double of one, but we just were like, let's try everything. And yeah, desserts were great. I mean, overall experience, would I do it again? Yes, I would do it again. I think it's like as long as you're okay with splurging. If you were not going to do any of the other restaurants, like I would just do the Empire Supper Club. Like honestly, if you're like, I'm okay to eat in the main dining room, just eat in the main dining room and then do that one night because it's worth more to me to do that than to eat at any of the other restaurants combined. Like the other restaurants were great, but I would choose to do the dining room if I had the option every night and just splurge on the supper club. And that's honestly how I would do it if I were you. But
And I think for you as well, Frank, I mean, obviously a bunch of all these other upcharge restaurants you've done many times in the past. So
Yeah.
I think that kind of plays into it too, because this is like the new thing on this ship. And I mean, we haven't really talked much about like a lot of like the newer free food. I mean, we've talked about the Aquadome Market. I mean, obviously you still have El Loco Fresh on the ship, the Windjammer. Where else? I mean, obviously some of these places, like you had Playmakers for lunch, you did brunch at Pier 7. Did you find yourself eating at any of the other free options?
mostly the Aquadome Market. We did eat like a quick snack at El Loco Fresh, which was really good. We liked El Loco Fresh. The Windjammer, we went in there like for a tea, but we just kind of like scoped it out. Yeah, it was good. And then obviously the cafes, right? So we ate a lot at the Pearl Cafe, which was really good. And then we did eat, like I said, at the base camp, which I remember we talked about how it was going to be an upcharge with like the cheese curds and stuff. They were completely removed the upcharge piece of it. There's no charge to eat at the base camp now. So it's basically just
nice.
like free food. Yeah, just free food. The Windjammer is massive. Like I got lost in there. There's like a bar and then there's like a whole back wall with gluten-free options. But those are pretty much like a summary of all the free food that we at least enjoyed. I think we'd hit most of it, but we definitely try to take advantage of the dining package as well.
So let's kind of move into entertainment. Frank, obviously this is one of your other favorite parts of cruising. You know, like we've mentioned, every night there's stuff to do on these ships. And I mean, obviously you have to schedule some of it out and make reservations for some of the shows, but you know each night you're going to have all different great types of live entertainment to see, whether, like I said, it's these aqua shows or, you know, you're going to talk about the Wizard of Oz here shortly or just music around the ship. How did y'all tackle entertainment for the week?
Yeah, to your point, we made reservations ahead of time and just kind of planned our dinners around that because we wanted to prioritize Wizard of Oz and the comedy show and the ice show, but kind of tackled it that way. And then, you know, we would do dinner early. So I think that's a big change in our way we cruise, right, Scotty? Like we normally would eat later, but we tried to eat early this time and then have more of the night to just explore the ship and do some of the shows. So like, maybe we just kind of go one by one. The first night we did the Aqua Action, which is the new Aqua show. What did you think about that, Scotty?
I love the Aqua show. Just it being in the dome is a really neat experience. It's they had some new things on here. I don't want to like totally give it away of what they did, but they had something in the very beginning that was almost like their, I don't know, what do you call it? They're kind of like starter.
Their warm up.
Yeah. And it was crazy. I feel like I was honestly like at the circus or something.
You were like
what they were doing.
like you were like gasping as you were watching this.
Yeah, it was really cool, but very well done. The divers, I mean, gosh, Frank, you did a tour of the Aquadome, but how tall are they diving from?
They're diving from 55 feet in the air to about, I believe, 15 or 16 feet of water.
That is crazy.
They actually said that the divers are trained so that when they hit the water to actually fold their legs in and try to land on their butts so that they don't like, because they will hit the bottom every time. So when they're diving, they hit the bottom of the pool with their butt every time.
Yeah, it's
but
crazy.
They said that the way that they've done it up top, they were like, okay, you're going to bring this pool that, you know, typically gets canceled down on deck 6 on Oasis class, not typically, but a lot of times up to the top of the ship. But like I guess just like the way that the pool is set up and everything, it's actually like a better location. There's less wind. So they haven't had like really any issues. They did say during the tour that like during like the tests, the trials, the sea trials, they have to do some crazy maneuvers to just test like the pools and how they flow. So they like turned it all the way up. Like I think the ship can go 25 knots or 27 knots, which is insane. All the way up speed, do some crazy turns, and all this water flooded down the stairwell.
Oh, no.
So they had to add like a wall around it to kind of prevent the water from flooding. But yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good show to your point. A lot of like people walking on tight ropes and people like flying through the air and like divers and the swimmers. And it was just like, there's a lot of aspects to it.
Yeah, like compared to other aqua shows I've seen, this was definitely my favorite and definitely the one where you saw the most, I think, unique like dancing, unique diving, and just, you know, unique tricks overall. So we really enjoyed it.
And then like one last thing, the screen that goes all the way around, like they don't have that on the other ships. So they have to program all these little like pick like all these screens to make it like synchronized and everything. They said it took like a few days to do like one little part, and there are probably like 100 like of unique screens that kind of came together. So just a lot of different effects they can do with a circular screen above you rather than, oh, just look at this projector on the side. So the venue was really, really cool for that. I really enjoyed that. The next one I want to talk about is Wizard of Oz. What did you think about Wizard of Oz, Scotty?
I really liked Wizard of Oz. One year I was Dorothy for Halloween, so this brought back good memories for me. But it was a great show. They had the cast was amazing, the dancing, the singing. Just it always amazes me, like the props they're able to use and the special effects they're able to do in these shows. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show.
And I will say the kids in front of us, they were loving it. Like this is definitely like I think my mom was like, I don't know how long they're going to keep the Wizard of Oz on there, but they're looking at families. This is a family cruise line. Sure, we personally probably like Grease better. We probably like Mamma Mia better. We probably like Hairspray better, but like this is a family cruise, and you definitely saw that throughout. Like the kids were just loving it. It's super repetitive. You've got like a furry guy on the stage that looks like a gorilla. Who's that supposed to be?
It's a lion.
A lion. So like they had like all these cool like just like characters and stuff, and I thought that was really cool. So highly recommend Wizard of Oz. The ice show we saw the ice show. What did you think of that one?
The ice show was really good. Like the theme itself was a little odd this time. It was, what would you call
elements,
it?
like
the elements, like the
Starburst. Yeah.
What's that table called?
Like the periodic table.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was interesting, but I mean, still, I always am so impressed on ice shows, like how they are ice skating on a moving ship. But the talent was great. The costumes they wear, they had like one guy that would come out, not even on ice skates, doing some different tricks. So overall, I really enjoyed it. The ice rink itself is a little bit differently shaped on this cruise. It's more round, yeah, which I actually really liked. I feel like there's not like a bad seat in the house.
Other than those, we saw Effectors, which is like their house-made. You didn't love that one as much.
No, I mean, it was a good show, but like you never knew what was going on. Like it was kind of hard to follow.
Yeah, like it was a good show. They were basically like there's Effectors 2 or another Effectors show in the fleet. This was supposed to show like the superheroes and how they kind of like became superheroes, but the special effects were like ridiculous, like throughout everything. Like the special effects were really, really good. So that was probably the highlight, was just seeing like people flying over you and like all this really cool stuff. So other than that, those were the main shows we saw. Obviously, we spent some time in the pub on this cruise, Lou's Jazz and Blues in Central Park, which is cool, but I don't know. It's not like my favorite spot. We really spent a lot of time in Dueling Pianos, which, again, shout out to Janelle
and James.
James, there you go. Look at you.
I have good memory.
They were ridiculous. Apparently, they'd only known each other for like a week, and this was like the first time they met. I don't know if that's actually true, so don't quote me, but they were so entertaining. They got the crowd involved. I don't know. That was probably like one of the highlights of that cruise for me. It was just like being in the Dueling Pianos. Like it was probably one of the best experiences on any royal ship I've ever had. So,
yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, if you've ever been to a dueling piano bar, really it's kind of like the crowd runs the show. So you could make a request. Obviously, if your request was attached to money, they prioritized that one. But it was great. The crowd was always really into it. They did a great job engaging the crowd. And like Frank said, we probably went there every single night.
I forgot about the comedy show. I thought they have a new comedy spot on the promenade, which is like New York themed. It just feels great in there. There's no bar in there, right? So it's a bit more intimate, I would say. And again, not a bad seat in the house, not as big, but I personally liked it more. And I think that the comedians were amazing. We laughed our butts off. You were kind of sleepy that night, but you still you had a really good time, and I think you kind of woke up because it was just like,
I did. It was very funny.
Yeah, so funny. So I would say that was probably one of my favorite venues on the ship as well. I think that kind of wraps up entertainment. We did do the casino bar. You kind of hung out there a little bit. I lost us some money, which was fine. But overall, I think the entertainment, would you say it's the best entertainment you've ever experienced on a cruise?
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think some of the best shows and just best entertainment options on any of the ships I've been on.
Now, like we say all the time, all good cruises have to come to an end, Frank and Scotti. Let's kind of talk about your disembarkation. Like we said, this ship is the largest in the world. There are a lot of people who have to get off the ship in Miami. How was the process overall? Was it smooth?
Yeah, I don't know how it could have gone any smoother, really. Like, you just walk off the promenade. So everything is coming in and off of deck 5. We woke up around 7 and just got off and got to the airport, and you just walk off. It's very simple. We brought our bags off with us. There was no line. They had maybe like 5 or 6 kiosks to tap out to scan your SeaPass card. So overall, very, very smooth process.
Now, kind of just some wrap-up questions. You've been planning this cruise. We've been talking about this cruise for pretty much since the podcast started, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, we've talked about how Icon comes with a steeper price tag overall. Do you think overall it was worth the upcharge to sail Icon?
I do think it was. We paid, just full transparency, I think around $3,000 for the room before gratuities, and I think it was worth it. A lot of food options, a lot of entertainment. We got to see some really cool spots. We did do 2 different destinations that we haven't been to. St. John plus St. Kitts, which was really great. In terms of comparing it to other Oasis class ships, I go back and forth. I mean, I think it just kind of depends who you are. If you have kids, I would say this is a great ship for you if you're going with family. But I think for us, like, we're not like dying to get back on. Like, we would probably go on other Oasis class ships in the interim. It wasn't like this massive difference. I think there's just small things that make it better, but I don't think it equates to like a huge upcharge. Like, I wouldn't spend like another $2,000 to go on this cruise versus Oasis, or even 1,500. Like, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's probably like not worth all that. I don't know, Scotty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely depends on just, who you are, who's coming with you, like what destinations you're going to are probably big factors there. But we absolutely loved it. And like he said, there's a lot of unique features that Icon has that others don't. But I don't think I would say like, oh, this is better than Oasis in a lot of ways. Like, I think there's pros and cons to both.
But now if I were to ask you, is this your favorite cruise ship?
Yeah, I would say it's my favorite cruise ship. What about you, Scotty?
Yeah, I would say so too. Now, I haven't been on Wonder yet, so I am wanting to go on that. But
you are going on Utopia in a couple weeks.
I am going on Utopia. But out of the ones I've been on, I would say so.
Nice. And then anything y'all would have done differently on this sailing?
I don't think so. I think we planned it out really well. We had a good mix of doing some excursions and relaxing. So nothing I would have done differently.
Yeah, I think maybe one of the things we talked about was maybe instead of doing like the unlimited dining package, doing the 3-night and then also doing supper club, we just repeated Giovanni's twice and repeated Chops. Like, one of the biggest things that we missed is 150 Central Park, and we are going on Utopia, so that'll be like something that we prioritize on that one.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing we missed, honestly. I think that's something maybe next time we would not do the unlimited dining and just do like 3 nights and then do some nights in the dining room. But everything else, maybe one of the days get up a little bit earlier to enjoy the pools. But we just were on vacation and enjoyed. We got to do everything that we really wanted to do on this ship and more. So overall, it was a great cruise. Scotty, thank you for coming and for being a good sport about trying to do all the things. And I thought it was a really great time.
I agree. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited to make my debut on the vlog too.
Yes, go check out the vlogs. We're probably a few weeks out at this point from getting our first Icon of the Seas vlog up, but still wrapping up Utopia this Seas. Thank you everyone who's been liking and sharing that with your friends. Check out this week. Hopefully we'll have Utopia 3 posted on there for our 3rd day on board there, where we sailed and we got to try the Royal Railway. But with that, thank you guys. Thank you, Scotty, for coming on.
Yeah.
I know
Thank
this is
you.
a bit of a
Thank
longer.
you for having me.
This is a longer one, so we do appreciate that. And we look forward to having you on the podcast again in the future.
Well, that's going to wrap up another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. As always, if you're interested in booking your next cruise vacation, you can fill out the JOT form in our bio or shoot us a text at
704-313-8556.
And as always, if you have any questions for any future question and answer segments, feel free to DM us on Instagram or fill out the question box underneath this episode on Spotify. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday.